Hey, it's Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader, and welcome to the Black Belt Leadership Podcast, where each week I'm giving you tips, tools, insights, and resources to help you become a better version of who you are and what you do as you discover, develop, and deploy your own Black Belt Leader within. Now, I've got to open this installment with a question. Have you had an opportunity yet to look in the mirror? And if so, who was looking back at you? Now, if you think about mirrors and reflection in early tribal humanity, the only place individuals could see their reflection prior to the creation of a mirror was in a still pool of water. Now, the earliest man made mirrors date back to around 6200 BC. Archaeologists were digging in the area of Anatolia, which today is modern day Turkey, and it was there they discovered some very small, obscure mirrors, possibly the very first mirrors ever created by tribal man, and it was made of obsidian glass. Now, if you're not familiar with obsidian, obsidian is black volcanic glass. It's known for its extreme sharpness, and probably the more prevalent uses of obsidian in that era of history was as a cutting tool or as a weapon. Now, obsidian, if you've ever seen it, is incredibly shiny, but its reflective power is minimal. So I can imagine, even though the mirrors were created from this shiny, beautiful glass, they probably weren't that effective. Now, polished copper mirrors started to appear in Mesopotamia around 4000 BC and around 3000 BC in ancient Egypt. Around 100 years later, 2900 BC, bronze mirrors began to appear, and in China, about 900 years after that, bronze mirrors started to appear throughout the culture. Early bronze mirrors were usually round discs with handles, and those handles were made of wood, of ivory, or some type of metal. Now, the reflective qualities of copper and especially bronze were much improved from earlier iterations of the mirror, but they were still limited by how well the craftsman could polish the copper or the bronze. Now, the first glass mirrors didn't show up until around 300 AD. Initially, they were very small. They consisted of a concave or a convex metal surface that had a glass coating. Now, as glass making skills improved, the quality of glass that could be used for manufacturing mirrors also improved, but you got to remember the reflective quality was limited by the metal backing, and prior to the discovery of the use of silver, that reflective quality wasn't that well. Now, it was in the 15th and the 16th century that Italians began to use a silvery mercury amalgam to design a clearer, much more reflective mirror. And in 1825, German chemist Justus von Liebig, he got it right. He invented what is known as the silvering process. He took silver nitrate and he utilized that to create a very thin reflective layer of silver that could be applied directly to glass. Now, this was the advent of what today we would refer to as the modern mirror. You go visit any warehouse or any manufacturing facility today that manufactures mirrors, and they still utilize von Liebig's process. But instead of using silver, aluminum is now much more commonly used. Now, interestingly enough, American inventor Charles Ritchell is credited with inventing the funhouse mirror. You know, if you've ever been to a carnival, you've ever been to a circus, you've ever been to a theme park, you've seen those crazy mirrors that make you look taller or shorter or fatter or skinnier. Those were originally called Ritchell's Laugh-O-Graphs. Yeah, Richard's Laugh-O-Graphs, the fun house mirror that he used for humor. Now, Ritchell's mirrors were curved, and they used convex or concave sections to create a distorted image. And again, that's what gave rise to the funhouse mirrors that we see across the United States and around the world. Now, ancient history also records that Archimedes used ancient mirrors as a weapon of mass destruction. They would polish shields of bronze or silver or copper or some other precious metal, and they would polish that until it was highly reflective. And then as a group, the soldiers would stand on the edge of the city wall and they would focus the energy of the sun on attacking Navy vessels that set their ships ablaze. Now, today, scientists use mirrors to steer and to shape laser beams for both civilian and military purposes. Law enforcement and the military also use mirrors to look around corners, over and under obstacles, and to view hard to reach areas for inspection or even in lasers. We see mirrors used to create an image of yourself. The general purpose of a mirror hasn't really changed over the centuries. What is a mirror designed to do? It's designed to reflect light to create an image of you. And the better the quality of the mirror and the more light it's able to reflect, the more accurate the quality of image that mirror is going to reflect back to you. So think about what we use mirrors for today and what I first asked. If you looked in the mirror today, it was probably where you were getting ready to start your day or as you're getting ready to end your day, depending on what time of the day you're looking at the mirror. Or maybe, just maybe, you're listening to the podcast where you're on a break and you're checking your hair, you're checking your makeup, you're making sure you got all the food wiped off your mouth before you go back to work. But we use mirrors today to both create and maintain our personal image throughout the day. We use mirrors to check for oncoming traffic while we're driving, and we even use mirrors and telescopes to capture the light of a distant star. So simply put, and if we go back to the very basic definition of a mirror is designed to reflect your image back to you. Well, now that being said, let me ask you a very simple but a very profound question. Who do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see yourself or do you see somebody else? Now, why do I ask that question? Because today we live in a world of pretenders. We have people who want to look and act like they're somebody that they're not. Now, social media has amplified this, quote, pretender effect as millions of people around the world are all seeking what? Their 10 to 15 seconds of fame, and they put themselves out there mimicking what other successful or famous people have done, trying to garner the attention of strangers and get those incredible thumbs up, likes, and other things that feed the ego. Now, if we also look at culture today, we see that groupthink has become the norm. People everywhere are trying to get other people to conform to their view of the world, to be just like them, to mindlessly act just like them, to embrace their own twisted thoughts and their own wild ideas as their very own. They want you to blindly follow the crowd. They don't want you to think for yourself, to act for yourself, or to be yourself. They're going to tell you how to think, what to say, and how to act. Just be like them. We see that all over the United States and around the world. Well, my question is this. If these people who have nothing better to do than try to get everybody else to act like them and they're unsuccessful in life, how's that a recipe for success in your life? Now, I was recently in Las Vegas speaking at a conference, and as I was walking from the Bellagio where I was staying to Caesars Forum to go speak at this event, I noticed a street performer who was dressed as Michael Jackson. Now, this guy was pretty good. I mean, you could hear the music a block away, and as you approach, here was a guy in Michael's garb. The attire, the dance moves were good, and he was there entertaining the crowd. Every time the light would turn red and a crowd would stop, he would go out into the street and he would begin to bust into some of Michael's signature dance moves. Now again, he was good. His attire looked good. The dance moves were modeled and very well imitated after Michael Jackson. However, everybody standing on the street corner knew this wasn't the king of pop. He was a wannabe. He was an imposter. He was a pretender. Now, you and I know there's only one Michael Jackson, but let me also remind you, there's only one you. Now, in every major city, you're going to find characters like this. And of course, you're going to find somewhere in the city an Elvis Presley impersonator. Now, as of February 2024, and that's the latest numbers I could find, there's roughly 400,000 Elvis impersonators around the world. Now, maybe that's why I can travel just about anywhere in the world, and I can't seem to escape seeing an Elvis impersonator at an airport, a restaurant, a hotel, or a busy intersection. Now, I will say some of them are pretty good, and a few of them are really, really good. They look, they sound the part, even down to the signature hip and the knee thrust that made the girls scream and swoon, but not everyone there is as good as they think they are. And everyone in the crowd who's watching these impersonators, they know they're only a pretender, not the real thing. When I see an Elvis impersonator, I know that's not the king. Now, there's a few of them I've seen out there, including some I recently saw in Branson, Missouri, that I hope they don't quit their day job to try to be an Elvis impersonator because they weren't that good. Some of those people are the ones that would cause Elvis to literally or physically or figuratively turn over in his grave. Every one of those 400,000 Elvis impersonators are wannabes. They're imposters. They're pretenders. Why? Because there's only one Elvis Presley. And let me remind you, there's only one you. Now, Dr. John Maxwell, a friend and a personal mentor, is considered one of the foremost authorities on leadership in the world. If you know Dr. John is known as the #1 leadership guru in the world. He's been recognized by some of the most prestigious groups to have that title. John has written more books on leadership than the #2, #3, and the #4 authors on leadership combined. Now, Dr. John has had the privilege to speak on some of the biggest stages. He's mentored some of the world's most influential people, and he's been invited to speak to countries and to governments to engage in transformation. And Dr. John and his team lead an organization of more than 50,000 coaches worldwide. Now, these 50,000 coaches are personally mentored by Dr. John and his team, and even though they've got a license to teach Dr. John's content to individuals and organizations through masterminds, through lunch and learns, and through workshops, they're not Dr. John. Even though with in-person and virtual sessions, Dr. John continues to teach, to train, and to pour himself into his Maxwell leadership coaches. As good as they are, or as good as they become, they're still not Dr. John. Because no matter how good these individuals are at teaching Dr. John's content, they are not and will never be Dr. John Maxwell. You know, Mark Cole, his CEO, kind of the heir apparent to Maxwell leadership. Mark is an incredible leadership teacher. He's an incredible leadership speaker, and he's an incredible role model. But Mark will tell you up front, I will never be Dr. John. Now, those coaches in Dr. John's organization, they may sound like him. They may adopt some of his mannerisms, and they may use many of John's famous quips and quotes. But I remind you again, they will never be Dr. John Maxwell. Now, they may represent Dr. John in the marketplace, but again, they will never be Dr. John. Why? You guessed it. There's only one Dr. John Maxwell. And let me remind you again, there's only one you. So I ask again, who do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see yourself or do you see somebody else? Now, I ask that question because we all have our own heroes and celebrities and people that we look up to. And while we can admire them, while we can adopt some of their qualities or their mannerisms as our own, we can never become that person. We were born to be ourselves and nobody else. Now, I'll give you a personal example. I've had the privilege to train with Taki Kimura, who was Bruce Lee's first student, best man in his wedding, and the first black belt in Jeet Kune Do. I also had a privilege to train with Richard Bustillo, two of Bruce Lee's original students. I spent several years training with Richard and got to train with Taki Kimura a few times before he passed away. And I can tell you this, while they were quite gifted in the art of Jeet Kune Do, they were very quick to tell you they were not and would never be Bruce Lee. Now, they've been privileged to train with him, to learn from him, and to help perpetuate his art as they taught the art of Jeet Kune Do to students that would go on and live out and practice Jeet Kune Do years, decades, and hopefully centuries into the future. They were focused not on becoming another Bruce Lee. They were focused on being the best Taki Kimura and the best Richard Bustillo that they could be. While they were honoring the legendary Iron Dragon, Bruce Lee himself, they were quick to admit, I am not and will never be Bruce Lee. Now, that's an attitude that you and I should already embrace. Because if you're a pretender trying to be someone you're not, let me just be very frank, very honest with you. You are a fraud. because you can't be anybody other than yourself, just like nobody else, no matter how hard they try, can be another you. Even identical twins have their own unique identity, and they can never be each other. So, why, rather than spending all of your time and energy and effort to be someone you can't be, why not focus that same time, that same energy, and that same effort on becoming the very best version of you that you can become, and focus on getting a little bit better as that person every single day? Remember, you can only be you, so stop trying to be anybody else. Now, this is where the mirror of self reflection comes in. This is where you and I have an opportunity every single day to have an honest, candid man in the mirror or woman in the mirror moment looking at ourselves. This is when you and I can truly pause to reflect as we begin to examine our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, and our actions, and to see who we are becoming. Because when we look honestly in the mirror of self reflection and we have a candid man in the mirror, woman in the mirror look at ourselves, we see ourselves for who we truly are. So we're going to see one of two people. We're going to see a pretender, an imposter, or a wannabe, or we're going to see someone who understands who they are and the uniqueness of themselves and embracing that and striving daily to become a better person, better version of who they are and what they do. Now, this mirror of self reflection is amazing because not only does it allow us to have a candid look at ourselves, as we gaze deeply into the mirror of self reflection, we get an opportunity to analyze, to question, and to challenge the limiting beliefs that hold us back and the habits that aren't serving us well. The mirror of self reflection can help you, it can help me build confidence in ourselves. It can help us strengthen our emotional intelligence, and it can help us clarify our values to make sure that our actions align with what truly matters to you and to me. Now, remember, there can only be one you. So why would you try to be somebody that you can never become? So that begs this important question, and it's one that only you can answer. Are you developing this version of you that you see in the mirror, or are you still trying to be someone that you're not? I want you to understand this. You are unique. You are one of a kind. There is no one else who has ever lived, who ever will live, who will be just like you. Your DNA is different than anyone's DNA that has ever lived on planet Earth or will ever set foot on planet Earth. And out of all the people that have ever been created by their creator and placed on this earth, you're unique, you're one of a kind, and there's nobody just like you. Now, I want you to think about that. If there's nobody just like you and you're unique, you're one of a kind, guess what that makes you? That makes you priceless. That makes you invaluable, and you need to embrace that. So here's my challenge to you. Don't be a pretender. Now, you hear me say often on this podcast, I believe every single person was put on this earth on purpose for a purpose. That means you were put on this earth on purpose for a purpose. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find your purpose and to fulfill your purpose. Because when you find your purpose and you fulfill it, this is how you're going to find satisfaction and you're going to experience a meaningful, successful life. So I want to challenge you to love and learn to love deeply your true you. Remember, unique, one of a kind. There's nobody else that's ever been like you or will ever be like you. Right now, you are a priceless individual living on the earth with an opportunity to do an amazing things. Find and fulfill your purpose. So I want you to love and learn to truly love your true you. I want you to look inside it. I want you to discover your core values and beliefs and embrace them. I want you to find the areas of your greatest giftedness, and I want you to focus your energy and your efforts there. Because when you are living in your greatest giftedness, you're serving the people you've been put on this earth to serve at the greatest and highest level. I want to challenge you to live an authentic life. I want to challenge you to be the very best version of you that you can be today and learn a little and apply a little so that tomorrow you can be an even better version than you were the day before. You know, I love the way Maya Angelou summed that statement up. Here's what she said: do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know to do better, do better. I love that statement. Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know to do better, do better. Now, I want you to remember this. When you're living as your authentic self, you're also going to have the opportunity to build strong, rewarding, meaningful relationships with other people. Because when you're trying to live a life that's a lie, you're trying to live a life that is not you, you're living a lie in front of other people, and they can pick up on that. But when you're living as the genuine, authentic you that you were created to be, you're going to attract like-minded people who love you for who you are, who support you for who you are, who want to get behind you and encourage you and champion your cause, your purpose, your dream, and your passion. And they're going to be the people that want to live life with you because they love the genuine, authentic you. And when you find people like that, those are the people that you can form deep, meaningful relationships with, because those relationships are based on trust and respect. Now, let me mention one other thing as I get ready to wrap up this week's episode. When you're living life as your authentic self, you're going to discover one more thing. You're going to discover a source of strength that's going to help you persevere even in difficult times. Because when you're focused on developing your true, authentic, genuine self, you are empowering yourself. You're giving yourself the ability and the opportunity to make wise choices that are aligned with your values and choices that are going to move you towards your purpose and your destiny. Now, in 1959, the Platters released the single, The Great Pretender. Now, the opening lyrics speak to the outcomes of somebody who's trying to be someone other than themselves. Here's the opening words to this song. Oh, oh, yes. I'm the great pretender, pretending that I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let these lyrics become your swan song. Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender, pretending that I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell. Don't let that be your story. Instead, let me encourage you to embrace the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And here's what he said: to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Man, I love that quote. To be yourself in a world that is trying to constantly make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Be yourself. Be the best version of yourself you can be today. Find a way to be better, and then be a better, best version of yourself tomorrow. Remember, there can only be one you. So here's my question. Again, are you developing this version of you, or are you still trying to be somebody you're not? Let me tell you, the world doesn't need any more imposters, any more wannabes, or any more pretenders. There's too many of them out there, and the vast majority of them are living average, mediocre, lackluster lives, not experiencing success and significance in their life because they're not pursuing the purpose and the passion for which they've been put on this earth to fulfill. What we truly need and what we need from you is very simple. We need you to be you. We need you to not only be you, but we need you to be the very best version of you that you can be today while you learn and apply and teach others so that you can be a better, best version of you tomorrow. I want you to embrace it. I want you to own it. and I want you to live it out every single day. Don't be a pretender. I'm Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.